in here in this committee today and say, hey, the sky is red. And would that be something that would not be corrected?
You are certainly entitled to say that, Ms. Khalid.
Former Liberal Minister Baines, has the government paid you in any capacity to be here today and the former 2 appearances at this particular committee?
Former Liberal Minister Baines, it's clear you don't care about conflicts of interest and you don't care about the stewardship of taxpayer dollars. And as a result, $400 million improperly went out the door under your watch as minister. And when I asked you whether you take responsibility, you couldn't even answer that. You have no shame.
Thank you very much.
Point of order, Chair.
You don't care about is the taxpayer.
Just 1 second.
Hey gang, what's up? Just Aaron right here. Boy, do we have a wild committee video to show today. Disgraced Minister Navdeep Baines is testifying, and there is something seriously wrong with this guy. Larry Brock takes a swing at him. There's so many Conservatives trying to get some answers, but the Liberals come running. This asshole Erskine Smith, he calls quits to the meeting at the end. He's a bum. We've got problem child IQRA KHALID in this one. She's from outer space and she's going so hard today. She's like not from this planet. She's from somewhere else. Anyhow, let's get into this video. It's a wild one. It's long, but there are so many parts. It's all over the place. This disgraceful minister, former minister, Navdeep Baines got issues. He can't answer any questions and has no accountability or regret, just a total loser. The rest of these liberals that come out and get in front of the camera, you're doing a bad thing for your caucus every time you show any of your swollen Kool-Aid faces. Canadians think less of your party. You won't stand a chance in the next election. Anyways, let's get into this video. It's a crazy one to watch. Committee meetings are wild.
Mr. Brock, you have the floor for 5 minutes, please.
Thank you, Chair. Former Minister, Liberal Minister Baines, I'm going to follow up on a question put to you by my colleague, Mr. Cooper, where he not only didn't get the question out, but we didn't receive a response. And the question, to refresh your memory, Minister, was, did you take or do you take any former ministerial responsibility for the gross breach of trust and the misuse of almost $400 million of taxpayer money?
As I've indicated, it's important that ministers act in the best interest of Canadians and conduct themselves accordingly.
Minister, do you take responsibility? Under your watch. This was under your watch. Do you take responsibility? Canadians want to know.
Again, I'm answering the question. I keep on getting interrupted. As I've indicated, it's important that I advance what's in Canadians' best interest, and it's important that the policies are set in a manner and as well.
So the answer is, so thank you. The answer is no, you take no responsibility, which is really a hallmark of the Justin Trudeau government, particularly his ministers, current and former. Now, on the issue of misuse of taxpayer monies, you didn't want to answer the question put to you by Mr. Perkins. Your role at Rogers is one of Chief Corporate Affairs Officer. Under Justin Trudeau's government since 2015, Rogers Communications Canada, one of the largest telco companies in the world, has received a whopping $173,954,991 in taxpayer grants and contributions. So I wish to put that on the record. Now, Mr. Baines, I understand that you were in Ottawa this past weekend.
Mr. Brock, I have a point of order, yes.
Just the relevance of Mr. Brock's statements.
I think he was just reading into the record some numbers, and
it's relevant to Canadians, so I'll move on.
Mr. Brock, you've got 3 minutes.
Now, former Liberal Minister Baines, you were in Ottawa this past Sunday. When did you leave Ottawa?
I left Ottawa yesterday.
Okay, and while you were in Ottawa for approximately 3 days, did you meet with any government officials, elected or non-elected?
Yes, I did.
And who did you meet with?
I met with my former colleagues, Mark Holland, Gary Nandasangri, and Omar Algabra. We were celebrating Mark Holland's 50th birthday.
Okay. Did you meet with any non-elected officials?
I met with the Chief of Staff to the Prime Minister, Katie Telford, and Andrew Bevan.
Okay. And meeting with Katie Telford and Andrew Bevan, did you discuss the content of your testimony today?
No, I did not.
Were you provided any material from Katie Telford or Andrew Bevan or any other non-elected official or elected official to refresh your memory with respect to evidence that you're giving today?
No, I did not receive such information.
This is now your third appearance at this particular committee to discuss your involvement in the SDTC Green Slush Fund. Are you to inform this committee and Canadians that given the passage of time, you were not provided, nor did you seek any material to aid you in the recollection of important details with respect to your failed ministerial responsibilities to SDTC? Is that what you want this committee and Canadians to believe?
If, just to clarify, you're referring to my trip to Ottawa?
I'm talking about through all the times that you've appeared, not just your recent 3-day sojourn in Ottawa. I'm talking about in advance of all of your appearances. Have you not received or have you not sought out material to aid you in your testifying?
No, the information that exists is in the public domain with the Auditor General's report, for example.
We have learned in the past former government officials have been paid with taxpayer dollars to prepare for upcoming committee meetings, even while they were being briefed by government officials. Former Liberal Minister Baines, has the government paid you in any capacity to be here today and the former 2 appearances at this particular committee?
Could you repeat that again?
How much has the government paid you, sir, for your time testifying today, preparing for today, and the other 2 appearances at this committee? How much? Just the number, please.
0.
Thank you. That is the time. And just for the record, I didn't correct this earlier because I know Mr. Baines is aware. This is Mr. Baines' second appearance at this committee. He's also appeared at another parliamentary committee.
So that's the piece with Larry Brock. But watch this. Now things start to really get out of control. IQRA KHALID steps in. Oh, these liberals are such poison. To themselves, drinking that toxic Kool-Aid, swollen faces, red skies. Check out the rest of this video.
With Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stewart, you have the floor for 5 minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Mr. Baines, for reappearing today. We received the disturbing report from the Auditor General last June, where she found that the Trudeau government has turned the once legitimate Sustainable Development Technology Canada into a slush fund for Liberal insiders. The Auditor General made it clear that the blame for this scandal falls...
Point of order. Point of order.
Yes, Mr. Erskine-Smith.
I'm just curious, as a point of clarification, when a member misstates an official document, as he just did, is that to be corrected at some point?
Mr. Erskine-Smith, I'm here to move the meeting along.
Well, perhaps
there is flourish on both sides, and as I've stated before, a government member will follow Mr. Stewart, and there'll be the right to reply at that point.
So he is allowed to misstate an official document from an official.
Mr. Erskine, this is not a point of order. And on the non-same point of order, yes, Mr.
same
Cooper,
point.
I will hear from you.
Yeah, well, just put on the record the complete picture that Ms. Verscheren said with respect to the minister, that he spoke, that he spoke to me, as did his policy advisor, and Leah Lawrence said she had talked to Mr. Baines 3 times before she agreed.
Thank you,
and she said he did know, but she had a direct conflict.
Your point has been made, which I think is why we're here, why we're doing this study, is that there are many statements out there that contradict one another. Yes, Ms. Khalid, you have the same point of order.
Thank you, Chair. And I just want to clarify, because this is actually quite concerning, and more in a broad sense as opposed to the specific topic at hand. Is it okay for members to outright lie or to put misstatements on the record and that cannot be corrected? I mean, like I can come in here in this committee today and say, hey, the sky is red. And would that be something that would not be corrected?
You are certainly entitled to say that, Ms. Khalid.
I'm not sure why then we are.
And Ms. Khalid, that's right. And you'll have the floor right after Mr. Stewart to address any concerns you have about things that have been said previously. But to reiterate, it is your right to say the sky is red. Yes. Mr. Sorry, is this a point of order?
On the same point of order, for Ms. Khalid to impugn the integrity of members of this committee when simply I am reading verbatim from transcripts of committee testimony.
So,
and she says
Ms.
the testimony is lies?
I hear you.
Does she live in an alternate universe?
Mr. Cooper, so Ms. Khalid, it is not helpful to accuse
like
colleagues
to
of lying, but I'm going to hear from you.
concerns.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you so very much. We do live in the same universe, and I would appreciate if my colleagues across the way would be more truthful in how they frame an issue.
Thank you.
And actually, excuse me?
Thank
read
you.
the testimony.
Mr. Cooper, you too will have another turn. Ms. Khalid, if you could just conclude it, that's...
You know, Chair, there's no way getting through to them. That's fine.
But again, I appreciate words like untruthful. That's parliamentary. The other word, I would urge all members to avoid that.
The sky is falling. The bells are ringing. IQRA Khalid, you're a problem child. Someone needs to give you a pacifier or just sew your lips shut. Erskine Smith, you're a total bum. You won't get back into Parliament. I assure that Canadians see your repulsive attitude, repugnant demeanor. You're a disgusting human being. You're an embarrassment. You're an embarrassment to Canada.
Cooper, you have the floor for 5.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Former Liberal Minister Baines, your department had contribution agreements with SDTC. It was funding SDTC, correct?
My understanding is that we allocated funds to Sustainable Development Technology Canada.
Yes, through contribution agreements. So why did your department, under your watch, fail to conduct even a single audit to determine SDTC's compliance with the contribution agreements with your department? Why did that not happen?
The monies were allocated to this arm's length organization that made the determinations, and there are regular routine checks and balances that exist in the system, and my understanding is that those processes were followed.
Balances didn't work because 59 million taxpayer dollars went out the door in contravention of the contribution agreements with your department. Were you unaware that monies upon millions of dollars of tax dollars were going out the door improperly? Is that what you're saying? You were oblivious to that fact as minister?
To answer that question, Mr. Chair, I've been very clear that the members on the board are independent. They make these decisions independently.
Former Liberal Minister Baines, do you accept that your department had a responsibility to see that the fund used public funds appropriately?
Mr. Chair, as I was saying before I was interrupted, that this is an independent board that makes independent
I would invite you to read paragraph 6.68 of the Auditor General's report that says precisely that. We're talking about $1 billion tax dollars here that your department sent to SDTC. Your department had a duty to see that those funds were being used appropriately. Did you ask any questions to anyone about what was going on with $1 billion taxpayer dollars that your department was responsible for overseeing?
Mr. Chair, as I stated before, this independent board had clear rules on how to make decisions, on how to allocate funds, on how to engage management, and how to oversee the day-to-day operations. That is why it's an arm's length
How often did
organization.
you make inquiries about what was going on at SDTC? How often did you speak to your deputy minister? How often did you speak to ADM Noseworthy, who was sitting in on every one of these board meetings in which there were conflicts, in which tens of millions of dollars improperly went out the door?
Mr. Chair, again, the issues with respects to the conduct of the board members was not brought to my attention.
Well, before you went to Cabinet and requested $750 million be sent over to SDTC, did you ask for any kind of report, any sort of overview of what was going on at SDTC? An audit? Anything?
As the member knows, when monies are allocated, they're part of the budget that is debated in the House of Commons. That was all done in a very open, transparent way of where the funds would go.
Former Liberal
what they would be
Minister Baines, do you
allocated for.
accept the principle of ministerial responsibility?
I think it's important to advance the interests of Canadian to make sure that we continue to support, in this particular instance, the clean tech sector.
Former Liberal Minister Baines, it's clear that you were AWOL as minister. You didn't care, and as a result, 400 million taxpayer dollars improperly went out the door at SDTC. So will you at least accept responsibility that you didn't do proper due diligence, you didn't ask the right questions, or is it that you just didn't care and turned a blind eye?
Mr. Chair, respectfully to the member, I care very much about the clean tech sector. I've stated why it's important and why we had sustainable.
Mr. Baines, you don't.
Point of order, Chair?
You don't care about
Point of
is
order,
the
Chair?
taxpayer.
Just 1 second. I'll come back to Mr. Cooper. Yes. Ms.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to flag the bells are ringing. What's going on? Quorum call? Okay, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
You have the time for this last question, Mr. Cooper, and not a long wind-up. So yeah, you have time for a succinct question, please.
Former Liberal Minister Baines, it's clear you don't care about conflicts of interest, and you don't care about the stewardship of taxpayer dollars. And as a result, $400 million improperly went out the door under your watch as minister. And when I asked you whether you take responsibility, you couldn't even answer that. You have no shame.
Thank you very much. KHALID, you have the floor, then Mr. Erskine-Smith, and after that, Mr. Brock. Ms. KHALID, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. And while I appreciate all of our members, while I appreciate all of our members' concerns on this issue, and I really do respect the way that this issue has been raised, although I think it could have been done with a little bit more class. But ultimately, I'm not sure what the objective is here. The majority of the witnesses that are presented in the amendment and the main motion as well, I'll speak to all of them all at once, Chair, just with respect to efficiency. They've appeared at previous committees before, and I'm happy to highlight which committees they've attended and when on this exact same issue. So we have Leah Lawrence has appeared twice on SDTC, on the Ethics Committee on November 8th, 2023, and Industry Committee, January 31st, 2024. Andrew Noseworthy has appeared twice already as well. On Industry Committee on December 11, 2023, and on June 5, 2024. And then ADM Douglas McConaughey has appeared on SDTC at Ethics Committee on November 8th, 2023. So I'm not sure if members opposite are feeling that the witnesses are not giving them the answers that they're wanting. I'm not sure if there's any misconception as to what has happened. I think this has been a very, very well documented affair thus far with respect to what has happened and what are the next steps. I'm really not sure, and I'm hoping that members opposite can perhaps clarify this for me, as to what the next steps are going to be. At this point in time, we can keep calling witnesses back time and time and time again, and then ask them the same questions again and again and again. But ultimately, what is it that we're trying to achieve here? And if we as a committee can get to that understanding, perhaps we can outline a plan ourselves based on consensus as to where we want to go and how we're going to get there. Because right now it just looks like we're trying to, grasp at straws at this point. And I don't think that is the best way that our committee should spend its time. So where I respect members and their interest in exploring this issue, I would encourage members to also note what is the end game and perhaps work backwards from that end game to where we are now. Because I don't think that that's what's happening. I think just calling in people again and again and again from one committee to another, to another, to another, it's just not helping them achieve what they want to achieve here. And if they're trying to catch gotcha moments or whatever it is that their objectives are, which are very unclear to me, I don't think this is the way to do it. So, Chair, I park my comments there, but I hope that members understand and can outline why, how, and what are the objectives. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. Could I just ask members, is there agreement to excuse the witness? And I'm seeing thumbs up from Mr. Erskine-Smith, who is next. So, Mr. Baines, if you're still with us, I do want to thank you for your testimony today, and I appreciate your offer that should we have additional questions, you'll answer them in writing, and if that happens, the clerk will follow up with you. So thank you very much. I'm going to turn now to Mr. Erskine-Smith. You have the floor debating the amendment to the motion, please.
Thanks very much. Two points that I wanted to make. I'm not entirely new to the committee, and Mr. Cannings, it's good to be on committee with you. But I actually am not familiar with the previous testimony of Ms. Lawrence or Mr. Noseworthy. I understand they didn't attend at this committee. I understand they attended twice at Indu and Effie. And so the first point I just want to make is I'm not instinctively opposed to the idea. I haven't been able to ask them questions, but I would prefer to read their testimony first to determine whether it makes sense to invite them, and maybe my questions that I would ask have been answered. I genuinely don't know until I review the testimony, so some time, even over the weekend, would be appreciated. Which brings me to my second point, which is tomorrow's Halloween. Keeping promises is important, and I promised my kids that I'm going to carve pumpkins with them tonight. And that's why I did ask Chair if we were going to stick it to 2 hours. So I don't see any urgency here. This is going to exist on Monday as well, and so I would move to adjourn, and I hope we'd all agree to take this up on Monday.
You're a disgusting human being. You're an embarrassment. You're an embarrassment to Canada. Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics. Oh, yeah. We're going to wrap it up right there, guys. Some of these committee videos are hard to get through. It's so frustrating, the Liberal tactics. Who do they think they're fooling? Nobody that's watching. My name's Aaron, Canadian Looney. Like, subscribe, share, get notified. Come and check out one of our live shows. We've got a great chat room. It's a lot of fun. Come and check it out. That's it. Thank you for watching this video and being a Canadian patriot. If you got through the whole video, you must be a patriot, because only people that don't care about this country could turn a blind eye to what's happening. Catch the next video. Thank you for watching this one. Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.